afternoon, friends. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today we're going to have fun because I'm going to show you a fun ombre inking technique, and I'm going to show you a fun die cutting trick too. And it's a great way to die cut those two-step stamps where you're not exactly sure where to put the top stamp and where to put the bottom stamp in order to get them perfect so that they actually fit into the die cut image itself. So I'm going to show you how to do that today, and you can apply this to anything, including one of our new incentives that is also a two-step stamp that has a die cut. So I think that'll be really fun, and I'm excited. I am so glad to see all of you. We had such a fun release party on Tuesday night with all of you, so I thank you so much for joining us for that. But before we get started with today's video, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hola!
Oh, what are you doing over there?
I am a stamping ombre. This is my stamping ombre out. Get up.
No. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm working with my insulin pump here for a second. So
yeah, you take care of that.
I'll take care of
Welcome everybody. Welcome to Crafternoon here at the Gina K Studios.
Yes. So if you hear a beep, it's just my pump telling me that it's pausing the insulin because we don't want to have too much insulin during a live. For those of you who don't know or are new here, I am a type 1 diabetic, insulin dependent, and every once in a while you'll hear a beep. You might think your refrigerator's open or you left the door of the freezer open. Nope, it's just me beeping all over the place. Right, Tom?
You don't have enough to do.
I don't have enough to do. Hey, this color today, this is very powder blue, isn't it?
Yeah, looks like it to me.
Yeah, so I thought I would make a powder blue card today in honor of this shirt.
Oh my.
Is that a cowboy hat you're wearing back there?
It actually is. This was a gift from one of our viewers few years ago, and it's been here keeping us busy. The cowboy story is a long-standing story for any of you who do not know about that. It was a fun episode where we had fun with the whole cowboy theme, right?
We did, yes. And if you want to find that video, it is a vintage video on the Gina K Designs channel. It's making cards using old books. That was the video.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. It was so fun. Okay, so let's get right into it today because we have a lot to do. So for those of you who joined us on Tuesday night, you've already seen this, but I will show you just in case. This is our brand new card kit. It is called Spring Things, and we are going to use two of the products from this card kit in today's video. We're going to be using this, the free gift is the 3D embossing folder, die set, and 5-piece layering stencil set. But we are going to only use the layering stencils from this 3D collection. And then we're going to be using the Modern Greetings and the Modern Greeting die set. Now this one is, this is great. I love this one. Take a look at the dies here. And then take a look at the stamps. So you've got stamps here that can be stamped in two parts. This way you can mix and match, right? So you can do Easter wishes, spring wishes, birthday wishes, but the dies are actually cut out as one whole die. So I'm going to show you how you can create these easily. You know, I mean, gone are the days where we have to freak out about taking an acrylic block and trying to line stuff up. Oh, okay, I'm going to address this question right away. What happened to my ring? I am still married. Tom, we're still married, right? Here's the thing. Every night when I go to sleep, I take my ring off because the stone sits up really high and it catches on things. And this morning I was running out the door and I was late and I forgot to put it on. So nothing's wrong. I'll have my ring on Tuesday night. It's just one of those, brain moments where you run out the door, you're halfway to work and you're like, well, let the rumors start. Let the rumors begin.
So you were
He didn't answer.
So you got hit on all the way into work, right?
Yeah, all the way. So I promise my ring will be back, but okay. So I'm ringless in Wisconsin here. All right, let's start with, yes, praise the Lord we have stamping platforms, right? Because gone are the days where we have to do that struggle bus where we're trying to line things up. And then to make it worse, trying to line things up on these die cut pieces. So today I'll show you a little trick using the Misty. You can use any stamping platform you have, as long as it's something that either has a door or it has a lid kind of thing. Yes, Tom is showing his ring finger. We're still married. And I am going to use birthday wishes for today's, I think. Yeah, I'll use birthday wishes for today's. And then I'll show you a card that I made on release party night where I used the hello and friend combination. So maybe I'll use hello friend again, because I don't know that... I think that might be nice, and it'll be easy for me to show the combination on this. I think you'll be able to see it really clearly. Well, let's start with a piece of cardstock. So I am going to get a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to trim this cardstock down.
By the way, our teams are working like crazy to get your kits out of here and onto you. On your way.
Yes, they are. All right, so I'm going to cut this 6 by about 4 1/4, just because I want to have a little wiggle room to die cut this panel when I'm done stenciling it. Now, these beautiful embossing folders, these 3D embossing folders, are spectacular. Take a look at the detail in that folder. They are really, really beautiful. But you can also, for many of them, use the stencils without the 3D embossing folder for a more modern and graphic look. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go for a more modern and graphic look. So this stencil has many parts, and there are letters at the top, which I just found out. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with me and why I didn't know that, but there are actually letters. I think it was Megan Andrew who pointed that out in one of her videos, and I was just blown away because for some reason I had never seen them before, and maybe you didn't either. But do you see up here at the top corner, etched into the stencil, there's an A? Well, there's an A, B, C, D, and E on this 5-piece stencil set. So I used to say to people, yeah, I mean, there's not really any particular order that you do these in, but if you want to go in order, you certainly can, because there actually is an order. Now for this one, I'm going to put the branches aside, and I'm going to do those last. So I'm actually going to go backwards, and I'm going to start at E. I'm going to start at the very last one, but it really doesn't matter which one you start at for this technique. So I'm going to line up my cardstock along one of the lines on my sticky mat. You can also use a grit mat if you prefer. But the sticky mat's kind of good for this kind of stenciling because you can get things straight. And, oh, was it Mindy that pointed that out? It was Mindy that pointed it out. I know one of them pointed it out. It was either Mindy or Megan. And I think you're right. I think it was Mindy. And I was watching the video, and I was just blown away by that. I never saw that before. I mean, maybe I'm a little blind. I don't know. So then I'm going to pop this right up to the top of this piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to pop it right along the edge here. All right, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but that will actually help me line up all the rest of the stencils. Okay, so like I said, for the colors that I'm going to use today, I'm going to use powder blue and I'm going to use blue sky. So I'm going to start with some powder blue, but I'm going to use 2 ink stands today. So a big shout out to Brianne Loveland. I know she's out there. These are her ink stands. So if you are new to Gina K Designs and you see these ink stands, these are, we don't carry these, but my friend Brianne Loveland has a store called the Ink Stand Shop, and she sells them in her store, and I always ask her to link because customer service always gets inundated after newer people see how these work. So Brianne, if you wouldn't mind linking these. What I love about these ink stands too is, you see this ink pad right here? Let me show you something. Let me get a different ink pad here. Okay. See this ink pad and this ink pad? If they're sitting out on my desk, I mean, in the right light, I can see that one is blue and one is green, but for the most part, it's kind of easy to mix them up.
I already mixed them up.
When you put them
I have no idea which one is it.
But when you put them in the ink stand, you have the lid, because the lid has its own little spot, and that's what I love, because number one, I'm not going to put the wrong lid back on the wrong ink pad, and number two, when I'm looking at it and I've got my blending brushes going, I don't have to worry that I'm going to put that brush into the wrong ink pad. Okay, so I have a blue brush here. I'm going to clean this a little bit to make sure I don't have too much of anything on there. And maybe I might even go with a smaller blue brush. Let me go with a smaller blue brush. So we have our large brushes, our small brushes, and our detail brushes. So I'm going to use a small brush and a detail brush for this. This one has some kind of junk on it here. I might just get a new one for this color because I don't really have one for blue sky. Okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of Masking Magic, and I'm just going to mask off that leaf and that leaf and right there, just so that I don't get any ink into those leafy areas. Masking Magic strips works great for this, but you can also use something like pixie tape or any other low-tack tape that you have. And it'll just prevent any, if you're kind of a wide blender, it's easy to kind of get ink into the wrong spots on some of these stencils, because some of them have mixed images on them, and that's how we get so many beautiful layers for the petals. Like this one, for example, it's got all these leaves, but it also has these flower centers. So if you want to do a quick green going down the whole thing, you can just mask off these centers and then pull them off and do your whatever color center you're going to do. So I love to mask things off like that. So I'm going to start with some blue sky. I'm going to tap a little bit of that off so it's not too bright. And then I'm going to start in a circular motion onto the stencil and just work my way up this petal. I want these to be fairly soft. I still want them to be vibrant, but I want them to be fairly soft. So we're going to get that vibrancy by making this color a little bit lighter and softer, and then going in along the sides and the base with the darker blue. So let's go ahead and do this petal too. Do this the same way. I'm going a little heavy near the base, and then I'm kind of relaxing my grip a little bit, or my pressure onto the rest of the petal here. Okay. And then we're going to do this one too. Yeah, this blue is so pretty. This was a blue that was missing in our collection. The powder blue has a little more periwinkle in it, like my shirt, but we're going to mix some of those together, and the blue sky and powder blue really do mix nicely together. Sorry, my sleeve has a button on it and it's scratching on the table. Okay. So now I'm going to take this detail brush and I'm going to do a little powder blue on there.
Leanne wants to know, how long does an ink pad last before you have to ink it again?
Well, it really depends. If you do tons and tons of ink blending, you'll have to re-ink faster than if you do more stamping, because you really pick up a lot of ink on your blending brush. So it depends on your technique. The best way to know is if you feel like you're not getting enough ink on your stamp or on your blending brush, it's probably time to re-ink. All right, so I'm going to go right in that same spot, and now I'm going to add this powder blue in there. And I'm going to go up along the side, like that.
But your busiest ink pads probably last, well, in a couple years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't re-inked too much. So I would say, you know, my black ink pad, I probably re-ink once every 6 months because I use it so often. It really depends on the style of the ink pad too, because if you have felt ink pads like these, oh, I moved. Shoot, I moved. That's all right. If you have felt ink pads like these, my sticky mat needs to be cleaned. So just to be safe, I'm going to take a little bit of pixie tape and put it down so that doesn't happen to anything else. So what was I saying there, Tom?
You were just finishing up on the explanation of the how long the ink pads last.
Yeah, so, you know, my black one, because I use it so much, I probably re-ink that one more because I use it on just about every card. But I have ink pads that I got from the original testers, and I still haven't re-inked them. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm adding that powder blue right close to where the petal would come out of the center and then along the sides.
That reminds me of our word of the day, reincarnation. Remember that one?
Oh, I do remember that word. There must have been a tiny little bit of purpley blue or something on this one because that top one has purple on it. But that's okay. That'll just be interesting. Okay, now I'm going to take this off because I want to do all my flowers first. The first color blue is blue sky. This color is powder blue. All right. So you can see how pretty that looks already, right? How we're getting that beautiful shading. And that's what's so fun about these 3D folders with the stencils. The stencils are made to really accent the images themselves, but because of the way they're designed, where there's like a separate stencil for every petal, you can really create that depth and dimension. So I just cleaned that off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol because we're going to come back to that one. But now let's go to layer D. Okay, again, so using this line, I'm sorry, I know I'm right in my own way there. Using this line and then the top of the paper, that's where I'm going to position this. So I know it's in the right spot. And then I'm going to tack it down with this so that doesn't happen again. Okay, same thing. I'm going in with some of this blue sky, gently. And I think the big thing about getting a nice blend is if it doesn't feel like it's dark enough for you, don't press harder. Go back and re-ink your brush and do another layer. Because when you press harder, you get splotches, right? You don't need to press harder. That's not going to help. Just go ahead, re-ink the brush, and then come back again for a second layer. See how I'm like finishing that up? Now I'm going back, adding a little bit more ink on there, and I'm going in with a second layer. Pressing harder only makes blotches. It doesn't make a darker blend. I mean, it'll make a darker blend. I shouldn't say it doesn't make a darker blend. Yeah, it'll get darker, but it'll also get really blotchy. So if, you know, don't be deceived into thinking that it has anything to do with the brush itself. I have to say, well, I mean, you want a good quality blending brush, But this brush is a great quality blending brush. But you can make it look like a terrible quality blending brush if you press too hard. So you can see I'm doing a nice light blend, and look at how smooth that ink is going on there. So pressing too hard, blotches equals blotches. That's where the blotches come from, not so much the shape of the brush or anything else like that. It just comes from pressing too hard. And it also comes from starting on the cardstock itself rather than starting on the stencil. See how I start on the plastic part and then my hand never stops moving and I'm bringing that color in. And as I bring that color in, you know, those bristles keep moving. So it almost like it doesn't blotch if you don't stop. You keep moving and you get a nice smooth blend. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, oh, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about re-inking, and if you have felt pads like Gina K Designs pads, you will not need to re-ink them anywhere near as much as you have to re-ink foam pads. Foam pads use a lot more ink. There's nothing wrong with a foam pad, it's just that they take a lot more ink for some reason. So if you have foam pads or you're looking at foam pads, then you're definitely going to need a lot more re-inker for those than you will with felt pads. Felt pads just seem to distribute the ink a little bit less, I guess. And the good thing about that is if you have very detailed stamps, you know, with fine lines, you don't have to worry with felt pads about any of the ink kind of soaking up into those fine lines and then losing the detail. So it's one of the reasons why I went with felt. When we were first manufacturing, we did have the option to go with foam, but I did ask the manufacturer which has the longest lifespan, and he said absolutely felt lasts longer. Foam can dry over time and it can like chunk and chip away, but felt lasts it's pretty much a pad for a lifetime as long as you have a re-inker. So, but some people really like the way a foam pad distributes the ink for the type of stamping that they do. Maybe they use tons of really chunky stamps and lots of stamping in color, and they like that better. So it's really up to you. One isn't better than the other, they're just different, and they both have pluses and minuses. I don't want to get myself in trouble. So you see what I'm doing again? I'm just going around the sides, up the sides of each of these flowers, and I'm leaving all of that shading there. Marianne, you can blend this way. I know you can. It's, you know, it really is about just doing it and taking your time, not getting too frustrated. Look how pretty that is. And, you know, forgiving yourself if once in a while you have a blotch. Like this one here. I mean, I moved, so that, and I had purple on that brush, so that one is not perfect. It's okay, though. I'm all right with it. We're going to make it through. Remember, here at Gina K Designs, all it has to be is better than horrible, and it's good. Right, Tom?
That is correct.
Okay, so now I'm going to go with Stencil C. Flip that back around. And going up against the side here and across the top of the cardstock just to line it up. That's my little guide. And don't worry if there's parts that don't line up perfectly. We can shift the stencil around. When it comes to doing stencils for 3D embossing folders, the people that make our designs for us and our stencils, it's crazy how much like embossing folders shrink and swell when they're being manufactured. And so sometimes you might have to shift things around to make them work, but that really doesn't take much to just shift it and make it work. All right, so here we go with this blue sky again.
Here's a question that was asked a few weeks ago, I believe. Are uninked pads available to purchase for making our own custom colors?
No, not yet. Not yet, but I am talking with our manufacturer to see if we can do that, because a couple people have asked that, and they want them to match. You know, they want them to be the same quality felt. They want to be able to make custom colors using Gina K Designs reinkers, and they like the quality of the felt of our pads. So I am talking to my manufacturer to see if we can do something like that, and I think we're going to be able to do it.
And a question, why do some of the small brushes get hard?
Some colors have a drop of pigment into them. So they're all dye inks. But in order to get certain colors super vibrant, they have to add just the smallest tiny bit of pigment ink, or else it's too translucent and you don't get the vibrancy. And sometimes those colors will harden up the bristles a little bit on your brush, but all you have to do is take a paper towel, saturate it in some alcohol, rub the bristles over it, and they'll come up like brand new again.
Clifford said, I have a felt pad that is 61 years old and still works great.
Wow.
Clifford, we have to make a documentary about you.
Yes, for
And
sure.
your stamp pad. That's going back to the golden years of stamp.
Wow. I'm going to move this a little bit. Just going to move this over here, just like that. But I have to remember to move it back when I do the other parts with the powder blue. Wow, that's a great testimonial to the lifespan of felt pads. And you know, when I remember my grandfather had ink pads, like, you know, the kind of ink pad that you just put a return address or that kind of stuff back in the day when they didn't have the automatic kind. And I mean, his were so old way back then, and they still, they looked great. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on for these two right here. And now I'm going to go in with the powder blue. There are certain things, when you think about how long rubber stamps have been around, rubber stamps are that same way too. You can't like destroy a rubber stamp. I guess they can get a little dry, but you know, it depends how you clean them. If you keep them clean and you don't use something that's too drying to clean them, like you use a good quality stamp cleaner, and then I always like clean them afterwards with water, just to make sure that there isn't any solvent just sitting on them. They'll last a really long time too.
Sarah wants to know, is your colored cardstock white core?
No, it's dyed all the way through. I do like white core cardstock though. For certain applications, I think it's pretty cool. I'd love to do a couple colors in white core. How many people would like that if I did a couple colors in white core? If you don't know what white core is, it's where the front of the cardstock is dyed and the back of the cardstock is dyed, but the inside of the cardstock remains white. So like if you tear it, the edge will look white, and if you know, embossed with an embossing folder and then took like a sanding block over it, white would show through on the details. I remember there used to be some brands that were white core. I don't know if Basil was white core. Boy, I'm going back now. I'm dating myself. Some of these companies aren't around anymore. All right, so you could see I'm just pulling that darker blue, the powder blue, up into those edges.
Sometimes I think I carbon date myself.
All right, look at those flowers. Those are pretty. I should have moved that one closer, but it's all right. Again, it's better than horrible. It makes it look more organic. That's what I like to say when I make a mistake. It's not a mistake. It makes it look more organic. Kind of like when you go to the grocery store and the organic vegetables aren't always as pretty, but you know that they're real. So that's real right there. This purple, that's real right there. Although, one thing that I would like to do to that purple is I feel like it doesn't have enough of the dark blue going around the perimeter, so I am going to add a little bit of that dark blue just right there. And I'm going to protect that right there like that. Okay, wish me luck. Here we go. I'm going to deepen that up a little bit. I feel like that was missing. This is the longest part of the video, but it is, you know, it's nice because when we do videos like this, we can really talk about what is actually happening. And sometimes, even if, I mean, just like me, you know, I've been crafting for a very, very, very long time. But the other night, watching Mindy, and she, you know, pointed out the thing about the stencils. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and this is my product. I should know that, but I didn't know it. So there's always something to learn, even when you've been crafting forever. Okay, so now I'm going to add some, which color is this? I think this is marigold. I'm going to add some marigold into the center of these flowers. So I'm just going to eyeball this to line them up. Now, I know this goes outside the actual center. See how they're, you know, you can see blue through there? But that's okay because I'm going to be using a yellow. And so where that yellow and blue mix together, it's going to have a greenish hue. A greenish hue. So here we go with the marigold. And I'm going to go around the perimeter. Like that. I gotta get rid of that little stringaling. Marigold is a great yellow. And what's really interesting about it, if you get marigold, there are parts of marigold, depending on how much you put down, it starts to look a little orange, like a real bright orangey yellow. Can you see that in there? How like right around the perimeter, I'm going a little heavier and it's starting to get a little orange. Very much like a marigold flower. Love this. Now on the embossing folder, this is all textured. So when you're doing a color like marigold, what's going to happen is the background of it is going to look yellow, and then where the little dots are in the center, the texture, it's going to grab a little more orange, and it's a great color for the center of these. It'll really play that up. But I'm just going to go with that for now. And I want to clean this before we start on the leaves. So isn't that pretty? And see how where that blue mixed with the yellow, it just creates more depth, right? It looks like the flower sinks down in there more. So that's part of the allure of the way these stencils were designed. It doesn't look at first like it's supposed to match there like that, but that's what it creates when it blends together. There will be new inks this year, but not early in the year. Not too early in the year. Well, we're already in the first quarter, so you already know that, right? Okay, so now we're going to do some of the leaves. So I'm going to do 2 colors for the leaves. I'm going to do Fresh Asparagus as my darker color and Jelly Bean Green as my lighter color. And we could even go lighter than that if you wanted to. We could go like even as light as apple mint, which would be really pretty. So experiment a little bit with your different greens together too. Of course, you can do the spruces for this, but I wanted my greens to be just a little bit more vibrant. So I decided to go with these more yellowy greens versus the bluer greens. The bluer greens are beautiful. The spruce, the Christmas pine, light, medium, and dark spruce. They're beautiful. But I do really like how the warm greens feel very summery and springy, and those cool greens feel very wintry. Also, the cool greens are really, really beautiful for like sympathy cards and that soft look, where these more vibrant greens, they just seem more joyful, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm just going to go around on each of these leaves.
Sharon wants to know what to do when you get frayed strings on an ink pad.
Just pull it off. Just pull the fray off. I mean, you'll get it on your fingers, so you might want to like pull it off with a tissue or something, but that happens sometimes.
So it's nothing to be afraid of?
Afraid? Very good, Tom. No, it's nothing to be afraid of. Tom has to make a word of the day out of everything. I love it.
Getting a little annoying?
No, it's fun, actually. It's very fun. So you can see I'm going with the light hand here. I'm not worrying too much about laying down a lot of color, because we're going to add that second color. And even though these leaves will not have a lot of detail, they won't have any detail, it's still going to give me a very modern, almost watercolory look. All right. I have to clean this brush. This brush is a little crusty. And one of the things that you'll find when your brushes start getting a little crusty is they don't seem to blend quite as smoothly as when they're more fluffy. So I would use the alcohol, clean the brush, let it dry, and then it should be good as new. And the other thing you want to make sure is that you don't like contaminate your brushes with other types of ink. So I wouldn't go and use something like Distress Oxide inks with dye inks. I wouldn't even use Distress Oxide ink brushes with Distress ink brushes, because the oxide has lots of pigment in. The oxide ink is definitely a hybrid type of ink. Same with our amalgam ink. You wouldn't want to use amalgam ink and dye ink together, because there are some pigment qualities in the amalgam ink that allow it to withstand watercolor that a dye ink won't be able to withstand. So they dry a little more crusty on the brush because they've got that pigment component to them.
Next question from Claire. Are the kits only available on the Gina K website?
Yes, we are the only ones that carry the kits. They're actually priced below wholesale, so we don't sell them to any of our wholesale accounts for a discount at all. So, only at Gina K Designs. Because we're selling them to you at a cheaper price than we can sell any of our other products, even to our wholesalers. All right, now we've got that color on there. Now let's go in with a little bit of this fresh asparagus. And I'm using a detail brush for this. And we're going to create that darkness. And we're going to kind of go around the edges of the leaves a little bit, because there are going to be some spots where other leaves touch. And by going up the sides a little bit where they touch, that's going to create that depth, same as the petals that we did.
Are the Electropop inks dye inks?
They are more of a hybrid ink. However, they're kind of their own thing because they've got an agent in them that makes them kind of glow a little bit. So they're a little bit different than hybrid or pigment ink too. But they do get a little crusty, so you do have to clean your brushes for sure after you use them. And I just recommend cleaning the brushes by rubbing them over a paper towel or a soft cloth that is saturated with some alcohol. I'm not a big fan of washing blending brushes because blending brushes, and this goes for every blending brush that's on the market, they are the heads of those brushes or the foam on those brushes are glued into the casing, the brush casing and the handle. And so you want to be really careful because if you wash them and then you let that glue just sit there wet, it can loosen it up. And you want to be careful with that because you don't want your brush head to fall off. Oops, I didn't start right on the plastic on that one, but that's all right. One of the other benefits of our ink is that we have a smoothing agent in this ink. So even the little blotchy spots that you see right now, they're going to smooth out quite a bit.
What color would you match or pair with apple mint for shading?
I think apple mint and Kelly green are beautiful together. Really nice together. Also, apple mint and lucky clover are really pretty together.
Okay. Any plans to get more of the metallic gold cardstock at some point?
Not the same one that we had before because that mill shut down. So we're unable to get that.
And Doreen wants to know, can you recommend a good starter color palette of ink pads to purchase? Starter.
Well, you know, I think one of the things that you have to know about yourself is how do you like to make cards, you know, like, because I usually recommend a good rainbow, right? A red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, a purple, a brown, a purple, and then a pink. So red hot, tangerine twist, wild dandelion, jelly bean green, turquoise sea, wild lilac. That's a great rainbow color palette. But you have to ask yourself, do you like rainbow inking? I mean, is that what you're looking to do? Or are you a person that just gravitates toward more pastel colors? Do you gravitate toward more this kind of stenciling? And then it might be more beneficial for you to have less variety of colors, but more colors that are coupled, if you know what I mean. So rather than having, maybe you don't like purple and pink, but rather than having a purple and pink, you have a light green and a dark green, and you have a light blue and a dark blue. So kind of look at the cards that you've made and decide, what do you gravitate toward? Or if you're new to card making and you haven't made a lot of cards, which cards when you see them do you say, oh my gosh, I love that? Or do you see some things and you're like, it's a little too bright for my taste or a little too pale for my taste? That's going to help you determine what color palette you should be gravitating toward. And then at that point, I would suggest looking at some lights and darks of your favorites so that you can do this kind of shading that I'm doing, especially if you're just getting into ink blending. Because that's the other thing. If you do a lot of solid stamping, maybe you have big chunky images and you're not into ink blending at all, then single solid colors would be perfect for you. You don't have to worry so much about the 2 and 3 steps of ink blending. So ask yourself, what do you like first, and then go from there. All right, so I'm going to do these up here in the jelly bean. I know this video's taking a little while here. We're going to get to all the techniques that I promised in the title in just a minute, and they're going to go fast. They're very fast techniques, but I have to get my base down here of this stencil, and I wanted to show you how pretty this stencil is and how relaxing it is to create with it. Now, one of the things that I am going to say about card making and stenciling and stamping and all of that is it's not a race, right? So if you're newer, and I'm really saying this, I know I see so many of my repeat offenders here in the chat that have been crafting with me since the dawn of time. And you already know this because we talk about this a lot. But for a newer crafter, they may see things and think, oh, I'm so slow. But nobody ever said that you had to be fast. It's supposed to be enjoyable, and getting it done isn't the reason to have a hobby, right? Just to get it done. Getting your dishes done, that sometimes you want to just get it done. But this should take the time that it takes for you to feel good and enjoy it and create a nice result. So
enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. And a lot of times when I'm making a card on a live, I feel like I have to hurry up. But when I hurry up, that's when I mess up, right? That's when I get blotchy results. That's when I just mess up because I'm not being mindful about it, and that's not what crafting is.
Question from Mary Ellen. Tom, do you have another day job, or do you work exclusively with Gina K Designs? If you have another job, what was it? I was in the legal field up until about 17 years ago, and then my Sicilian wife made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah. Tom was a lawyer. He did, what kind of law did you practice?
Oh, business, real estate.
Mm-hmm. Estate planning.
Nobody laughed at my jokes.
Nobody wanted to hear the word of the day. The word of the day today is lawsuit. Nobody likes that, right? It's not fun. So I'm just finishing up the rest of these little flowers here that I wanted to shift the stencil around a bit, and then we're going to add the branches. See, I rushed there, but I'm going to leave it. It's fine. But you can see how rushing makes a blotch, but that's good. It's good to show that once in a while. I mean, it's not good, but it's good to see that it can happen when you start rushing. Yep. I just got to the point where I was doing a lot of stuff. I mean, down to way back when we started Gina K Designs, I was doing everything myself, including making all the stamps. I was actually vulcanizing the rubber stamps myself. And it got to a point where I was ready to not do it anymore because it was just too much. And that's when I said to Tom, how much do you love being a lawyer? And Tom said,
uh-oh.
Not so much. No, you liked being a lawyer, but...
Well, we always were. I mean, Gina and I have worked together since we were like 15, right?
Yeah, because we played music together.
So it's very easy for us. And we had other businesses besides Gina K Designs over the years. And so, you know, we love the family business concept.
Yep.
It's often more hours and more stuff than, surprisingly, than working in law. But we much prefer it.
Yeah, they say starting your own business is trading in an 8-hour-a-day, 5-day-a-week job for a 20-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week job. But it's fun. So I'm being a little sloppy here, but I'm leaving it. And then, see, I just pushed too hard there, so I got to lighten up my touch a little bit. And I shouldn't be rushing. That's the other thing that I was doing. I was rushing because I start getting stressed out, like, oh, maybe they're bored, I got to hurry up. But when I don't rush, that's when things look better. Okay, I think that that's really pretty though, and I'm not too worried about the little blotchiness. It's all good. Now I'm going to add the branches, and we'll just pop them in there, and they're going to overlap a little bit, and that is fine. Just pop them in there like that. And I'm going to hold this down, and we're going to just use fresh asparagus for this. So we'll just go in one direction, and because that's a skinny image, we're going to go in both directions to make sure we get all the spots.
Fife, 1948 says, I'm Sicilian as well. Where in Sicily is your family from? Mine are from Messina.
Oh, Messina. Mine are from Palermo. My family's from Palermo. And can you believe I've never been to Italy? That's terrible. I know.
We're saving that one.
We're saving it. Yep. We're saving it. Okay, so there we go. Done. Done, done, done. Is that pretty, guys? This is one of those kits that you will enjoy forever because it's got so many beautiful flowers and images in there, and there's so many techniques that we're going to do with all of these over the next 4 weeks or so that, you know, it's just, it never ends. Okay, so I did get a little green in here. I'm okay with that too. That's my problem petal, right? Because it's got purple, it's got green. We're not going to worry about it. But I am going to worry about that because I just dumped that into my sticky mat. So we'll just clean the back of that off. Okay. Now let's get to some of the fun techniques of this die cutting technique and using the modern greeting set. So what we're going to do first is we're going to, let me put this off to the side. We're going to get the die cutting machine and we're going to cut a couple of blank dies. So I want to do hello friend. Hello friend. So I have to find the right die for hello friend. And that one's easy because the scripty is at the top. So I know it's this one. Okay. And now I'm going to cut using a couple of this piece of cardstock here. I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to cut a couple of these. So let's go ahead and cut this out using the intracut. Yeah, it's a hybrid flower. That's right. It's a hybrid. The card's still going to look pretty even with my mistakes. And then I'm going to cut another one out up here. This way, if I mess up on one, I have two. Plus, I need two negative pieces.
Harriet is lived in Mount Airy near Philadelphia.
Oh.
And she wants to know where we lived. When we were kids, I was in Northeast Philadelphia.
Yep.
And Gina was in Elkins Park near Jenkintown.
Yeah. I was out in the suburbs.
Other side of the tracks.
Yep. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut these apart like this. Okay. And I'm going to keep these. And once you've made these, you can keep these forever. You can keep these with your die set. And now, while I'm here, I'm going to cut this apart. And I'm going to use Master Layouts 11. And I'm going to cut it using this postage grid. Tom is Russian. Somebody wants to know what your nationality is. Tom is Russian.
Yes, it's interesting. Gina is half Sicilian, and I am half Russian. Our fathers were purebreds, right?
Yes.
And but her father and my mother are both were born in September,
Yep.
and her mother and my father were both born in April. So it's kind of an interesting. For those of you into the astrological stuff.
Yes. Okay, so now I've cut this out using this die. Let me make sure it cut all the way through. I'm sure it did. Yes, it did. Okay, I know it's scary to cut it, right? Because it's so pretty the way it was, but we gotta do it sometimes. I cut it with the wrong one. Oh no, I cut it with the wrong die. Tom. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can save it.
We're distracting you today, I think.
Yeah, I know. All this conversation here. Okay, I can fix this. Okay, you ready?
All right, here we go.
I meant to cut it with this die.
Strap in.
So as long as I can see, let's do this. I'm going to line it up.
And if you had to use the postage stamps, you could do it, right?
Eh,
Not going to happen.
not for my card, not for what I'm trying to achieve here.
Okay.
So I'm going to just hold this up to the light. Yup, that looks good. Okay. So this is what I'm going for. Oh, my word.
Boy, if you could retitle this live, it would be Gina by the seat of her pants.
They're all by the seat of my pants. Okay. So there we go. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm going to cut these out, or I'm going to put these aside. And it really doesn't matter if they're in the perfect order, but I am going to put them back in order of how I cut them out, just off to the side here. Now, this one, I gotta poke all these dots out of here, and this one,
No hurries. We have nowhere to be this afternoon.
no, we don't. Let's get it started anyway. So I'm gonna poke these out real fast. Hey, you know what, Tom? While I poke these out, this might be a great time for your word of the day. So I'm going to poke out all these little holes.
All right.
And then I'm going to cut this
folks.
in white. I'm not going to stop while Tom is doing his word of the day.
You heard it, folks. It's time for...
Here we go. Buckle up.
Hooray, hooray, let's laugh it up. Don't delay. Word of the day, it's here to stay.
Gina, do you remember when we were, when our girls were very young, we took them to Chicago for a day trip?
Yes.
And they brought their American Girl dolls. They had those.
Yes.
And we took them to the theater that does a presentation.
Yeah, the American Girl Doll Theater.
Yeah, is that still going on down there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And so those were crazy busy times. And we got seats right up front. So exciting. And I was very comfortable in that seat. And yes.
A little too comfortable.
Front row. I dozed off in the first 15 minutes of the show with these wonderful young performers giving it their all. And so I was spentertained. I had just succumbed to the comfy chair and the dark theater, but it didn't last for long. I was swiftly brought back into the action by a well-placed and perfectly executed elbow from someone who was sitting nearby. So it went well, and we had a great day, and then we went for dinner after the show, and so I didn't embarrass too much, but
No.
Thanks to a well-placed elbow.
You didn't snore at least.
No.
Poor Tom. He had 2 girls, so he had to do all girl things all the time. Sitting at the American Girl doll store in Chicago having a tea party. What a good guy. You're a good guy, Tom.
Just need a good elbow once in a
Once in a
while.
while, yeah. Okay. So now what we're going to do here, now we can finally get to our ombre. So I'm going to get the word friend. And I'm going to stamp the word friend right here. And I'm going to stamp it in black ink. The elbow. All right. There we go. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. And I'm stamping it on colored paper for a reason. Because I want to be able to see the outside of that image. Now, I'm leaving that stamp there. I'm not taking it off the stamp, off the Misty. Now, I'm going to put the hello down here. Okay, and I'm going to stamp that in black right here. All right, now no questions during this, Tom, because I can't lose my train of thought. Okay.
All right.
All right, so now what we're going to do next is we're going to get some pixie tape, wherever I put that. I'll put that around here somewhere. Here it is. I'm going to get myself a couple pieces of pixie tape. And I am going to line up the word friend so that it's perfectly centered at the bottom here. See that? Perfectly centered at the bottom. And then I'm going to tape this on so it doesn't shift at all. I don't want it to shift. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this other one and I'm going to line it up perfectly so it's perfectly centered on the word hello. I needed more pixie tape. Now, this is a little bit of a process. However, if you die cut a whole bunch of blanks, you can make 20 or 30 of these all in one sitting while you've got this all set up on your Misty. And so then you'll have lots of greetings that you can use later on for other cards. Okay, so we've got the top positioned perfectly, or the top and the bottom positioned perfectly. Okay? Now, if you're worried about this popping up a little bit, you could always take a little bit of Connect glue. I don't even know if this glue, you could take a tiny little bit of Connect glue and stick it under here just to hold that down. I don't think any came out when I squeezed it. So let me squeeze it onto, squeeze some onto here so I can see it. There we go. So I'm going to just put a little bit under there, and that'll hold that down if you're worried about it. If you feel like you need that. Some people might feel like they need that just to make this little template. And you can save this whole template if you want. No, you can't. You have to redo the template each time. But you can save these white parts. I'm not too worried about that, but I just wanted to show you that you could do that if you want. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with this one. We're going to pop this blank in here. Now we know it's going to stamp in the right position, right? So I'm going to start with some blue sky. And I'm going to stamp that. Make sure that's in that template. And we're going to stamp it. Now don't worry. I'm going to pop it back in there again. My blue sky is very juicy. So let me This is a brand new Blue Sky pad. So if you have a very, very juicy brand new pad, and I know this seems like not something you probably want to do because you're going to think you're going to be wasting the ink, but I would rather have better results stamping. So I'm going to squeeze out some of that ink and make it less juicy.
Oh, can I make a card out of that?
Probably, yeah. And then I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to try that with the other blank one here, because I feel like that was just too juicy. And we'll see if that's less juicy. Yeah, that's better. Okay, we'll put it back in there, and we'll do another coat. And we're going to do one more coat, just to get it nice and... Also, if you ever see like a spot like that, just clean the stamp, because sometimes there's a little goober on there from the manufacturing process, and you'll see it on the stamp, and then you can just clean that off. And then I'll show you another trick if that doesn't work. Oh no, that looks good.
You think you might be coming up with any more of these types of stamps?
Like these two-step stamps?
Yeah. The question, will Gina K in the very near future be creating more beautiful scripty greetings with very similar to these but without a holiday stamp?
Well, I don't know how soon, because we're pretty far out in our manufacturing process, but definitely I will in the future, because I like this a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to take some blue denim ink here. This is our blue denim.
Might need to explain what a goober is.
Goober. Just a little blotch on the stamp. Now I'm going to take this blending brush, and I'm going to add a little bit of color down along the bottom with this blending brush. Now we're not trying to get it all solid, and I don't want to do it with the ink pad itself. I just want it to be a little bit more wispy. And now I'm going to stamp that on there. Okay, can you see how it's getting darker at the bottom?
Yes.
I'm going to do a second coat. Like that. We'll add that on there. Right? So it's getting darker. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to In the Navy. That's really dark. Now we're going to take that same brush, and we're not going to go up quite as high. We're going to just kind of stick near the bottom. And I'm just taking that flat edge of the brush and just going along the bottom a little bit. And then we'll get that nice and dark near the bottom.
Wow.
Isn't that fun? I like using the blending brush more than I like using the ink pad, because the ink pad just lays down so much ink and it just starts to get too, you know, too blotchy and too spready. All right, now I'm going to take that out of there, and I'm going to pop it into this one, and now we're going to stamp the hello on the top. And look, it's perfectly centered. See that? Perfectly centered with that ombre finish. And look how perfectly centered those little stringy ends are. And that's because we didn't try to eyeball it with an acrylic block. I wouldn't be able to do that. I can't, I'm not that good. You know what I mean? Some of you might be, but I am not that good. But you can see when you do this technique with the two templates, just leaving your stamp on here. Now you could go back and make a pink one. You could go back and make a yellow one. You could go back and make a lilac one. And just leave these set up until you've made as many of these as you want. And then once you're done, then you can switch to the birthday wishes or the Easter wishes or the spring wishes. So, isn't that so fun? And I like the ombre look. Now, you don't have to do that. You know, you could have done the bottom just in a plain lighter color. You definitely can do this. Because, I mean, all you have to do is be able, it's like doing a puzzle, right? All you have to be able to do is lay that piece in there. I could go back and stamp it a second time and it would stamp in exactly the same spot. So you definitely can do this. And so this goobery one that I messed up on, I'm not going to throw it away. I could just put those two together to give it a little bit more sturdiness. So there you go.
Awesome. Do you know if fuse carrier sheets are on the way?
They are. They're somewhere near the bottom of Africa right now.
All right.
They are. That's exactly where they are.
I guess that's on the way to
Yeah.
somewhere.
They got stuck. They couldn't go through the strait, so they're suffering. They want to be here. They should have been here a long time ago, but
They are on the way.
they are on the way. Okay, so now let's assemble this card. Okay, so I saved this piece, thank goodness. Right, so this is the way this went together. And you can decide, you know, do you like it that way? Do you like it this way? Whatever you like. And then this is going to be our greeting that goes right in the center there. And by doing that ombre look and bringing in some of that darker blue, the greeting pops off of the flowers a little bit more too.
That's amazing.
Isn't that pretty? Okay, now this die doesn't have a sister die yet that goes around the background. So what I suggest is you measure it. Let's measure it together. So this measures about 3 1/4 inches. So look at this piece of cardstock. I must have really been in a hurry. Let me just trim that off. I must have really been in a hurry. I could use that on something. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that same, it was 3 1/4, right? Is that what it was? 3 1/4. So we're going to go to that same 3 1/4 inch mark. And then, where's my zoom? This is a lot easier if we zoom in. Okay, so we're at the 3 1/4 inch mark. And we're going to go 1, 2 little ticks up from that 3 1/4 inch mark. So 3 1/4, 1, 2. And we're going to cut that. And that's going to give us a good border going around there. Now this one, I don't know what this one is. This one is, so this one is 4 5/8. So we're going to go up to the 4 3/4 inch mark. And then we can always adjust it a little bit if we need to. So 4 3/4. And that should give us a pretty good border around the outside. And I think that looks fairly good. So we'll just stick with that. So always just 2 little tick marks up, and that will always give you that nice border. It's not as easy as the master layouts for sure, but you know, it's a way that if you've got something, let's say you freehanded something, you know, you were like, I got to cut this little edge off, it doesn't look good, and now it's a weird size. That's a good way to still get your layering panel. Okay, so we're gonna layer that together. That's not better than horrible. sometimes if I turn it over, I can see it better for no reason, because it shouldn't be that way, but okay, good enough. That's it. That's how it's going to be. And now I move these around a little bit. So there we go. So now we're going to apply these using some foam squares because we want to pop them up a little bit and bring some dimension in here. So I'm going to put 4 foam squares on the back of each of these. See, my goober one didn't get cut off. The one where I ended up with green on the petal, but that's okay. And placing the first one always feels like it's the hardest. So
You tend to overbuild your cards with foam squares.
overbuild.
Yeah, like if it were a house, it would be rated for Hurricane 5.
Hurricane force winds.
Yeah.
So try to think of these as each little tiny master layouts when you're putting them together. But I like the dimension that popping them up gives you. Now, you don't have to pop them up. You could just slap them right on there if you prefer. You don't have to do that. The other thing you could do is you could cut a bunch of blanks out from... question, is that technique the only way to put those sentiments together? No, Patty, you could just freehand it if you feel good about it. You definitely can just freehand it. I just don't feel good about that, so I would rather... like, I'm just not that good, but a lot of you are. You probably are, and you might be looking at that going, that's a lot of work for nothing. I can just stamp it. And if you can, by all means, do that. But for me, I can't get it that perfect, so I really feel like I need to do that technique. But that's a me thing. And for other people out there who feel the same way as me, it's a great technique to make sure that they're all centered. And it's a great activity, too. You can just mass produce. Is that the way that goes? Or is this the way that goes? That's the way that goes. You can mass produce them, and you could make 20 or 30 of those greetings at a time, and then you're done. They're ready to go, and you just have to grab them and go. So that's why I like to show that technique, because it is fun for mass producing. And the ombre technique, the only way to do the ombre technique is to have a stamping platform, because you have to go back over the same exact part over and over again. So you do need a stamping platform for that, unless you're that good. And like I said, you may be. I've had my genius moments where a part didn't stamp that I was using an acrylic black, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to go for it, and through the grace of God, it actually worked out. But for the most part, I really feel like I need a stamping platform to really nail it. All right, and this is the last one. There we go. Okay, so now we've got those 4 on there. They look pretty good. And now I'm going to glue these 2 together just because I have it and I'm not going to use it for anything else, so I might as well make use of it. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. And over here. I'm just going to pop those together. I always start at one side to make sure everything's lining up, and work my way across. And that just gives it a little bit of strength. And now I think what I'm going to do is pop this up just in the center. I'm going to put 1 foam square in the center, a small one, and I'm actually going to put it in the center, not of the die cut, because I don't know where the center is. I'm just going to put it in the center here, and then the die cut will be popped up in the center then. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of tape onto the sides here, because all of this is just going to get stuck onto the card itself to these popped up areas. And I'm going to use my tweezers to line this up where I want it. I'll put it right there. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to pick a card base color, and I do have some blue sky. So this is what the blue sky would look like. Very beautiful. And is this blue sky too?
Yellow.
That's blue sky too. So I don't have any powder blue here. Now another color that might look nice is Cadet. If you wanted it more muted, you could do Cadet blue with it, which would mute it down just a little bit. We have tons of powder blue. I just don't have any here. So I think I might do, okay, which one? Should we do a poll? Okay, let's, oh, you want to see yellow? Okay, let's see yellow. And I think the yellow that I would choose for this might be more like sweet corn, because that would be soft. Here's yellow. Marigold is a beautiful yellow, but it's so bright and vibrant, and I think it would overpower the card. All right, so we'll do a poll just for funsies. Okay, what color card base should I use? And we'll add 3 choices. We'll add blue sky, we'll add Cadet blue, and we'll add sweet corn. All right, I'll start the poll. Okay, and we'll see what you guys want to do. I'll have you look at them again too. So here's the sweet corn. Here's the Cadet blue. And here's the blue sky. Boy, that's a tough one. It's a tough one because this really does bring out the centers of the flowers, but it also kind of takes away from the blue, right? Because we were going for blue, and this just makes the card look like a yellow card, where when you put it on the blue sky, it becomes a blue card. Okay, so blue sky is the clear winner. 55% of you like the blue sky, 30% like sweet corn, and 16% like Cadet blue. Well, let's get Cadet blue out of here. She's not winning today. I do like Cadet, though. I thought that was pretty, too. It was just different, you know? But definitely blue sky is the clear winner. All right, well, thank you. 56% overall. It was a hard toss-up. I feel like it would be fun to make one of each, actually. They're all really pretty. But we did want this to be a blue card today, so we're going with blue sky. Everybody agrees. Not everybody, but the majority. Majority rules. I always say this, and it's so true. Then I'll go home tonight and worry about all the people that wanted sweet corn. I hope they're not mad at me. Boy, that sounds like something I really need therapy for, doesn't it? Sitting in my therapist office. I'm just so afraid that the people that wanted sweet corn are upset tonight. That's so me. Such a me thing. Okay, so we've got a nice crease in there for blue sky. And we'll just add a little bit of tape on the back. I love you guys. You guys are so much fun. I'm so glad you're all here. And we'll pop that in there. And there is our finished card. I'm going to add a few little clear sequins. These are our little crystal clear sequins. And I'll put one here. Oh, wait, let me get should I get my other glue? Let's see, did I cap this right? Yep, I did. Okay, this is the Connect Matte. I love using the Connect Matte glue on embellishments because sometimes I put big blotches, you know, and it squeezes through the sequin, and then there's like a weird shiny mark, and I don't like that. So the matte glue just dries and it completely disappears. You know, and sometimes like when we're using black embellishments like black pearls and stuff, you can really see that caked around. But this just completely disappears because there's no shine to it at all. Okay. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me put these back in my little bowl. And let me show you the one from release party night. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me just move my mess out of the way. That's how I clean too when people come over. It's just I shove it in a drawer instead. So you can see these are, I like these sequins. They're just like so classy and tasteful. Just that little bit of sparkle. So that's the blue sky powder blue combination, and this is the light and medium carnation. Yeah. And I did ombre here, so I used medium carnation and light carnation with a tiny bit of dark carnation, but I didn't accent it as much as I did on this one. And if I were going to do this one again, I'd definitely come in a little bit darker with that. But there you go. Oh, I love this 3D embossing folder and stencil set, and I love the fact that you can use these stencils to get a more modern graphic look like this. It's so much fun. Well, what do you think, Tom? Which one's your favorite?
Boy, you know, I'm not going to do that. They're just spectacular.
Oh, and you know, see the way that little bit of blotchiness kind of faded a little bit? It doesn't look quite as bad as it did before. And that's kind of the smoothing agent in there helping a little bit.
I think there's room for that kind of stuff in this kind of project.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Really don't. If you didn't point that out, I would think it's part of the artwork.
Right, right. And even up here, I mean, that could be a leaf that's just laying over the petal. So it's good that we went with it, we got through and made it anyway. All right. Well, Tom, we have to give away a gift card today. It's not nighttime, right?
Right.
Not
I don't
yet?
think so.
Okay. We're going to give away a gift card, a $15 gift card to Gina K Designs. You can use it whenever you want because they never expire. But before we do that, if you're new here and you, well, if everybody could like this video, that would be really helpful. But if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and all notifications, and you'll never miss another video. And then if you're not part of our Facebook group, come on over and join us. The Facebook group is called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. There's 50,000 plus members over there, and we're all sharing our Gina K Designs projects. So you'll find lots of inspiration for any of the Gina K products that you get into your collection. And then another huge shout out to Brianne Loveland. She's working hard today. Brianne, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. You're amazing. We love you. But if you missed any of Brianne's links, you can find everything that I used in today's video on our website at ginakdesigns.com. All right, everybody, let's give away a gift card. Are you ready, Tom?
Ready, ready, ready.
All right, let's do it.
Pronto. All right. Drum roll, please. Today's winner is JGirl77. JGirl77.
Hey, J-Girl, congratulations. You are our winner. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and our customer service team will get that gift card issued to you. You'll find it in your inbox, and you can use it whenever you want. Well, everybody, this was so much fun. We enjoyed being here with you. Now, next Tuesday night, I'm just looking at the calendar here. Next Tuesday night, we're not going to be live, and I'll tell you why. Tom and I bought Rena's fiance, Brian, Milwaukee Bucks basketball tickets for his birthday back in December for a game that was supposed to be in January. And we drove down there And we found out that the team that was playing the Milwaukee Bucks, which was the Mavericks, is that
Yes,
right, Tom?
Dallas.
Couldn't get off the tarmac because they had ice storms in Dallas, and they rescheduled the game to March 31st. So we are going to be celebrating Brian's birthday on March 31st, so there won't be a live on Tuesday night. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make it up. If we do, we'll let you know, but plan on us being back on Thursday, next Thursday, with another new kit project. And this will give us time to ship out your kits too, because maybe you want to play along next time. Hopefully you'll have your kit by then, or pretty close. Maybe you'll have your shipping notice by then. But anyway, we appreciate your understanding. Sometimes those family obligations overlap our lives, and we are a family first company, but we'll be back here on Thursday with another Stampin' Chat Live for sure, and we promise it'll be a good one, so we hope you'll join us then. In the meantime, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.